Good evening, Bahamas. You're tuned into NB12, broadcasting from Cable 12 Studios on Robinson Road. Here's what's making news tonight. The 3 men who were lost at sea found safe and sound. Another fire at the Marshall Road scrap metal yard. A police reservist charged for child porn. Amnesty International slams the police force. Plus, it's Valentine's Day. We'll tell you a story about a child's special little heart. Those stories and much more on the way. And Nakia DeVoe and NB12 starts right now. Thanks for joining us here at NB12. The 3 men who were reportedly missing at sea for about a week have been found. According to officials of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, Cecil Cartwright III, Julian Wallace, and Keno Greenslade were rescued by fishermen off of Long Island this morning, who towed them to Ragged Island. Well, that was great news for the families who told us they've been sick with worry over the past 6 days.
They are safe. They are safe, and we are so. I am grateful, and everybody is grateful. So I am speaking on behalf of the whole Lockhart, Cartwright, Greenslade, Wallace, the whole family. I'm speaking for everybody right now.
Friends and family members of the 3 men can now remove the missing persons posters that have been circulating throughout social media and news stations. Mother of Cecil Cartwright III said she received a call from Defense Force officers this morning telling her the good news that her son, Greenslade, and Wallace had been found alive and well. The men left for Ragged Island on Friday the 8th and hadn't been heard from until today. But Cartwright's friends and family say they never gave up hope. Cartwright's girlfriend, Deandra Dean, said although they had no contact, she was still encouraging him to stay strong. His lifelong friend, Ramon, says their prayers were answered and the situation could have been much worse.
They left from Nassau to go to Ragged Island. A lot of groceries was on board the boat, and that is the hand of God in that. If they were out to sea in Ragged Island and had gone fishing, they would only have had a bottle of water, a juice, a biscuit.
I put faith in God. I put my trust in him, and I know Cecil. I know that Cecil is a man that he is better in sea than on land, so I know that he could have handled himself. Every day I talk to him, letting him know that someone will come and rescue him. I just want to say thank you for everybody for their support and their prayers, and I'm happy that he's safe and he's coming home.
The best news I ever heard was this morning, that he was safe. All right, and I was so excited that I couldn't even stay to work. Tears of joy. Big grown man like me crying. All right, so that should tell you how much love I have for that young man.
Keno Greenslade's 2 daughters were also at the eastern end of Potter's Key Dock this morning, where they were all hoping to be reunited with their loved ones. However, the men were instead taken to Ragged Island and will not return to New Providence for a few days. Kenesha Greenslade said she cannot wait to see her father again and laughed as she told us she will not allow him to take any more boating trips.
I was happy. All I do was thank Jesus. I was jumping up for joy, and I couldn't stop. I was just excited.
Tell us how the last 6 days have been for you and your family.
Stressful. A lot of crying, a lot of heartache. We thought we'd never see them again, and it hurt.
The whole family, everybody was like, we were so devastated. Everybody was crying, no eating, no sleeping. It was very devastated for us. And, it was just praying. And we have people from different churches was praying along with us, and hoping and praying that they will come back alive.
Family members thanked the Defense Force, BASRA, and the United States Coast Guard for assisting in the search, and they also thanked all members of the public for their support and prayers. Well, fire officials suspect arson may be behind a raging fire at the dump near the rear of Anatole Rogers High School on Faith Avenue that flared up again this morning. Director of Fire Services Superintendent Walter Evans says the derelict vehicle site has been a challenge for firefighters for some time now.
This morning around 4 a.m., the fire services conducted a check at that site, and there were no signs of any activities. And then 2 hours later, interestingly enough, we found that there was a blaze which took place. And so there is some cause the alarm is being raised for us. An intensive investigation has been launched into this incident. there, that's a strong possibility that someone may have gone in there and intentionally set that site ablaze.
Smoke blanketed the area, forcing the closure of the school and outraging Misty Gardens and Marshall Road residents who say they've been dealing with this problem for 20 years and most have reached their breaking point.
The minister who's responsible for this area really needs to shape up and start to get ready, because we've complained about it. We sent a letter to the Prime Minister, we sent a letter to Ken Dorset, and nothing never happens. This is a serious situation. The people in the Misty Gardens community is tired of this. We had enough. We had enough. We're suffering from this too long. This dump site needs to be moved, and it needs to be moved like yesterday.
This is wrong. I'm an older person, but there are young people who live in this community and their children are exposed to all kinds of things. Cancer from the burning of the rubber and the tire. So please do something to help your people.
But they'll have to wait a while longer for any satisfaction. Today, Environment Minister Ken Dorset said he's aware of the problem and decided last year to have the site relocated, but they haven't quite figured out where just yet. He said in the interim, the dump will remain open because of the work being done by the Environment Ministry in conjunction with the Urban Renewal Program to clean up abandoned vehicles from different areas of New Providence. The dump fire was part of the reason teachers at Anatole Rogers have been refusing to work part of this week. Fire services had 2 teams working to put the blaze out this morning. Well, Amnesty International coming out hard against the Royal Bahamas Police Force today, saying the deaths of 2 men while in police custody in the last weekend highlights the urgent need for greater accountability for police abuses. 33-year-old Jamie Smith and 20-year-old Aaron Roll died while detained at 2 different police stations in Nassau last Friday and Saturday, respectively. According to a statement from the human rights watchdog, their deaths are the latest examples of alleged human rights abuses by police, including similar fatalities in police custody or alleged unlawful fatal shootings, which have occurred in recent years. Now, Special Advisor at Amnesty International, Javier Zuniga, said the continuous lack of justice for unlawful killings at the hands of the police shows that the authorities are not doing enough to ensure that investigations are thorough, independent, impartial, and timely. National Security Minister Dr. Bernard Nottage announced in Parliament Wednesday that some police officers from the CDU and the Southern Police Station have been placed on leave pending the outcome of an investigation into the deaths of those inmates. Coroner Linda Virgil is leading an investigation into both deaths. In other news, 2 photographers were arraigned in a magistrate's court this morning on child pornography charges. Police reservist Sean Greg Williams, he's 37, of Fire Trail Road, and Jonathan Forbes Jr., 23 years old, of Albury Street, Chippingham, appeared before Deputy Chief Magistrate Carolina Bethel in Court Number 8. Williams and Forbes were each charged with producing and possessing child pornography. The charges against Williams stem from an incident on February 6th, while Forbes' charge stemmed from a February 5th incident. Forbes' lawyer Elliot Lockhart told the court that Forbes was gainfully employed and came from a good family. Jeffrey Farquharson, who represented Williams, was visibly agitated in court today, saying he was very distressed about how his client's case was being handled. His statements prompted Magistrate Bethel to ask him to calm down before proceeding with the arraignment. The prosecution did not object to bail. Both men were granted $15,000 bail each with 2 sureties. Forbes will have to report to the Nassau Street Police Station every Monday before 6 p.m., while Williams will report to the Carmichael Road Police Station on Saturdays between 6 p.m. Both men will reappear in court for service of involuntary bill of indictment on April 2nd. But the 2 photographers were not the only men to appear in court today. This afternoon, 2 alleged murderers made their initial appearances before a magistrate for arraignment on separate charges. Homicide investigators have closed their investigations into the murder of Marguerite Ultimate and Rodney Sela. They allege that Dion Bryce, 38, of Cypress Court, Elizabeth Estates, shot and killed Ultimate, who was shot 4 times in the head at her family's convenience store just after 11 a.m. on Sunday, February 3rd. Police said the motive behind the shooting was robbery. Bryce was also charged with the attempted murder of Experience Syme, who was also shot during the robbery at Ultimate convenience store. He was also charged with armed robbery, abetment to commit murder, and abetment to commit armed robbery. Bryce was not required to enter a plea to the charges during his arraignment before Chief Magistrate Roger Gomez. Likewise, 27-year-old murder-accused Donovan Brown of Key West Street did not enter a plea to charges that he shot and killed Seela on January 30th. Seela was killed after being hit several times during a drive-by shooting in the Camp Road area. Gomez remanded both men into custody at Her Majesty's prisons. Bryce makes his next court appearance on July 1st, while Brown will reappear on July 2nd. Prosecutors are expected to send the cases to the Supreme Court by voluntary bill of indictment.